What is good? What's going on, guys? Let's get into today's video. We're going to be doing a deck profile for Ahsha Standard, a very much awaited deck profile, I think, because a lot of people are building this deck and it's not in focus. There we go, baby. I totally didn't record this entire video with the wrong mic and now have to re-record the whole thing. That definitely didn't happen. But hello, before we get into the actual deck profile process, I got a couple things to say. First things first, if you enjoy this deck profile, I need you to let me know, because one of my friends at Locals, he actually got back into the TCG thanks to Zero, and now he built Gear Chronicle from this set, and I'm the one helping him out with the build. So I was like, you know, if enough of you guys are interested in one of, you know, like a good Chronojet build, then we can actually take a look at it on video with what we built up for him. So only if you're interested, let me know, and then we'll hook it up for maybe the next week or something like that. But let me know if you guys are interested in that, and then we'll hook it up. Another announcement I must say is, please, if you have a little bit of time, check out my Twitch channel, because we've been trying to build a community there. We're kind of, you know, trying to spread Vanguard to the world. You know, we are partnered, and, you know, we can get featured on the front page and stuff like that. And Vanguard in general, just, it's spreading, it's going big. The future is here. You know, Vanguard is really expanding right now thanks to Zero and everything, and, you know, the TCG making big moves like this set. And basically, I'm just trying to grow. We're trying to build a community. So if you have the time, please just hit up the Twitch, link in description and top pinned comment, and just drop a follow. You know, just drop a follow. That way you're going to be notified when we go live. You know, tune into the streams. It's always a great time. We're trying to build a community. We're just trying to go up and up and up, you know, and it's always good to hang out with you guys in chat. You know, I really meet a lot of you guys just by chatting during the streams. You know, get to find out where you guys, you know, play Vanguard, how you play Vanguard, you know, what you guys are up to in general. Kind of have a lot of these like random Q&A sessions here and there as well. So if you're into that, just come on and join us on Twitch. You know, it's easy to make an account as well, just to get into it and just like talk to everyone. So just hop on in. We also have a schedule right now. You know, I've had a schedule for a while, but I started working a 9 to 5 this month, so I have a new schedule now where we basically stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And on Tuesdays and Saturdays, we start at 11 a.m. CEST, which is basically 2 a.m. PST/5 a.m. Eastern time. And I think it's 5 p.m. Singaporean time. So for Americans, it's not that well suited, but we stream for like 3 or 4 hours, sometimes 5 or even more. So you can always tune in later on. And then if you're in the States, we also have a more like US centered time, which is on Thursdays. We start at 6 p.m. CEST, which is noon Eastern time, or 9 a.m. PST, and it's also midnight Singaporean time, sadly, but you know, that's just how things are. It's my post-work stream basically on Thursday. So we usually play Zero. We do a lot of things these days. You know, we played some Shadowverse, we played some Pokemon, we did some Grand Blue Versus, we also play some like regular Vanguard too, like whether it's premium or standard. So just come by, just, you know, come by, come chill. It's a good time. So let's get into this deck profile. There's a lot to unpack here, even though it might not seem like there is much, but there's quite a bit to talk about. So let's get into it. So here we go. We have our first card, which is Dream Spinning Ranunculus Ahsha. So what does our girl Ahsha do in her new form? So her first effect says, during her turn, if you have 2 or more units with Ahsha in their card names, she gets plus 10k. And if you have 3 or more, she gets an extra crit. Now, that's already pretty nice, because you can basically just, you know, call, I mean, as you can see, you can just like call 2 Ahshas, and the Vanguard will get plus 10k. And if you can make a 3rd Ahsha with that second skill, for example, she gets a crit. So that's very legit. And then that second skill says, once per turn, act Vanguard Circle, Soul Blast 1 and retire 2 rear guards, and then you call a Ahsha's Fairy Flower token. So that's what the Flower Fairy token is. Now, what does the Flower Fairy token do? It has the same card name as your Vanguard with Ahsha in its card name, so it will copy the name entirely. And it also has the skill that when he attacks, or when she attacks on rear, you choose one of your Vanguards with Ahsha in its card name, and you increase or decrease this unit's power and critical to match that unit to the end of that battle. Now, there's some things to consider here that you need to keep in mind when you're playing this deck. So her skill gives her 10k and a crit. And because they're using Force, let's say Force 1, you also give her another 10k. So she's 33k with a crit, you know, if you have 2 Ahshas, you know, Flower Fairy token and another Ahsha on the field, then she's 33k and a crit. So when this attacks, normally it's 13k base, and like let's say I have an 8k booster, so 21, but that skill will activate and copy this power and critical, so even if it's 21 and you have the 8k boost, it will decrease or increase to be 33 with a crit. So keep that in mind. Of course, if you put triggers on her, it'll be more, but basically boost doesn't count into the flower fairy token. I cannot pronounce that. It's so tongue twisty. But so that's what the main big Ahsha does. We'll be calling her Big Ahsha from here on out. And so she's really good. She just, like, you know, the only cost here is Soul Blast 1, Retire 2, but that Retire 2 is nothing because a lot of cards in this deck make what is called plant tokens. So we have 2 types of plant tokens. You can play any amount you want, so let me show you. There's usually 3, but I only play 2. But basically, what is a plant token? A plant token is a 5,000 power, 1 critical vanilla unit, but it doesn't go in your main deck. They basically go in the same like token pile as your force markers, and whenever you you have a bunch of skills that just say call a plant token. Like we'll look into some cards later on that say call a plant token. So the best way to play this deck is use the cards that make plant tokens, and then use Ahsha's skill to retire 2 and make that fairy flower token. So it's very easy, but I mean you basically have no reason to play more than 5 flower fairy token. I mean normal plant tokens, but you know I gotta go in with that on here. But yeah, so that's what this is. So all your flowers basically go in a separate pile. They're the tokens that just come into play. But of course we need more Ahshas to make that skill come true. So what are we going to play? Of course we're going to play the trial deck Ahsha. So trial deck Ahsha is Ranunculus Flower Maiden Ahsha. She says, when placed on Vanguard or Rearguard circle, you may counterblast 1 and call up to 2 plant tokens. You see, we're already calling plant tokens. And so after you call those plant tokens, she gets plus 10k, so both on Rearguard and Vanguard, which is very nice. You don't have to call 2, by the way. It can be 1 or 0, just to gain that. You can sometimes counterblast just to gain the 10k, but that is a pretty steep cost. And if you had to ride her, you can use her second skill, which is once per turn, Vanguard circle, retire 3 Rearguards and call an Ahsha's Flower Fairy token to Rearguard circle. So keep in mind that it's only the VR Ahsha, the big Ahsha, that gains a crit. This one doesn't gain a crit, so if you ride her, you might want to go for Force 2, but if you ride her, because she gains a base crit herself, you can ride Force 1 pretty safely. And this kind of depends on the meta, what's popular, you know, in terms of decks, but overall you can kind of go for this choice pretty consistently. But this is usually like your field setup will very often look like this on the Vanguard circle, this on the Rearguard circle, then you use this effect and call the Flower Fairy token, and there you go, 3 Ahshas for her effect, and you're good. So usually you will have a board that looks something like this, or even better, and yes, it can get better. So what else are we playing to make it better? We are playing quite a few cards. So first things first, this is a new grade 2 from the set, which is Anelma. So Anelma, a grade 2 double rare, pretty easy to get, quite cheap actually as well. I think she only goes for like €1 at most. So her skill is, when placed on Vanguard or Rearguard circle, you may Calmas 1 and Soul Blast 1, and you draw 1 and then call a plant token. That's really good because you get to draw an extra card in your hand to guard with or to call to your field, and then you get to make a plant token, which is another unit on your board. So she gives you 2 cards basically, 1 on the field and 1 in the hand. And then she also has a skill that if you have a Rearguard on your Rearguard circle with the same card name as your grade 3 Raider Vanguard, all of your units get boosts. So this is really big because basically when you have the Ahsha on the board and you make a Flower Fairy token, this has the same name as your Vanguard, right? So then Anelma goes like, okay, I can give everyone boosts. So what you can do is, you know, you have a board like this, so this is your Vanguard, this is your rear, and then you call this Ahsha down, you know, so this is your other rear. And then you have Anelma in there as well, so you call Anelma, let's say, behind here, or let's say call her behind here because now you can boost. What you can do is you can put this Ahsha to the back and then call anything else you want, like literally anything, and you know, let's just say another Anelma, and now both the Anelma and the Ahsha can boost because all your units can boost thanks to Anelma's ability. So it's a very, very cool ability. It does a lot for you, and so make sure to use it wisely. Anelma is actually a really nice card just because she gives you a +2 for Calmas 1, Soul Blast 1, and also gives you boost to all your units, so you can actually protect your Ahshas like that too, which is very, very nice. Like those, like the Rearguard Ahshas that are a bit more fragile. Then we play 1 Antero. This is a rare from the set. When placed, one of your Vanguards gets plus 5k until end of turn for each of your token units. So you can call him when you have like 4 plant tokens and your Vanguard is plus 20k, and then the Flower Fairy token will copy that power from your Ahsha, so that's very nice. But we only play 1 of him because he's 5,000 power, so very weak on his own. Kind of just want to sometimes retire him for that Ahsha's effect actually, so that's kind of why we play him, just with a big explosive power. Now we're going to look at a card that is not in the next stage set. It's from an older set. It's a bit hard to get right now, and it's getting a reprint in Japanese actually. So there's a chance we'll get it in English too, which is Sylvia. So Sylvia's really good because she's a grade 2 that says, when placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, call a plant token. So she for free gives you a plant token, and that's very, very nice. But you can always play Sela or Kera from the trial deck instead. She also does like more or less the same thing, a little bit different, but still a very, very good job. And so Sela does a really nice job, so you can play her instead. But like, if you really want to, you can pick these up, but I would say wait a little bit because we might get the reprint in English too, because the reason they're getting this reprint in Japanese is because the set sold out so fast, and we have the exact same in English too. Like, this set is selling out super fast, so we might be seeing a reprint for this card, so I would hold off on buying it just for the time being. Then our other grade 2 that is not in this set is Irminsul. Irminsul is an older card, but a very good grade 2. It says, when placed, if you have 2 or more grade 0 rearguards, which, I mean, by the way, your plant tokens are grade 0 rearguards, you +1 and draw a card, which is already very strong, and then all units in the same column as him get plus 5k. So he's like 10, and let's say you have a plant token behind him, that's a 15k column, becomes 25. So really big, good for pushing numbers in the early game and like dealing damage to your opponents so that you can try to finish them off with the Ahsha. Overall, just a very good grade 2, so definitely worth playing. Also, I should mention that this build is mostly based on CanYouSayG's build that he upped on his Twitter. I mean, he's already given me advice on this deck a long time ago, so I just kind of sucked it all in. But make sure to check out gstation/CanYouSayG, definitely worth it. Alright, so here come the grade 1s. Our first one is Padmini. This is probably one of the more expensive cards in this deck, together with the VR Ahsha. And so her skill is, she's like in the series of like grade 3 searching, stride assist remakes, but her skill is, during your turn, if you have 2 or more token units, she gets plus 5k. So she's a 13k booster if you have 2 or more plant tokens, and that's of course very easy to get, simply because you can already have 2 plant tokens as early as, you know, turn 1 or turn 2. So she'll be a 13k booster from very early on, or attacker. And then when placed from hand on Rear or Vanguard Circle, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose a grade 3 from among them. If you find one, add it to your hand, and if you add it, then shuffle your deck, and if you add a card to your hand, you have to discard 1. So it's a grade 3 searcher basically, and why that's relevant is that, I mean, of course, you want to ride this Ahsha first all the time, but you also want to call, you know, the other Ahsha to your rear to actually get the fulfillment for the big Ahsha's cost. So of course, you know, the full effect. So of course you want to find more Ahshas, you want to find those grade 3s to call. Then moving on to another good grade 1 from the set, we have Maiden of Sweet Berry. So she's a very, very good card. Vanguard Rearguard Circle when placed, you call 1 plant token and to Rearguard Circle, and if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you soul charge 1, which is very nice. We used to have a card that, and her second skill is also, during your turn, if you're grade 3, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, she gets plus 5k, so she's a 13k booster. And there's another card in the set, I think called, what was her name again? Tanya, who gives 5k to your Vanguard, but we play Diane, spoiler alert, who also does the same, so we don't want to go too hard on that effect type, and basically spread some of the power to our rears as well, and not just to our Vanguard. But the reason why Maiden of Sweet Berry is so insane is that we used to have a card that just said, grade 1, when called, make a plant token. But now this says, make a plant token, and soul charge 1, and gain 5k to boost with. So it's like, it's just insane, like, it's such a big upgrade. And then our last grade 1 for this list is, as I mentioned already, the Diane. So she's from the trial deck. She says, when placed, discard 1, draw a card, and your Vanguard gets your grade 3 Vanguard gets plus 5k. So very nice effect, simply because you give an extra power to your Ahsha, and as I said, the more power you have on your Ahsha, the bigger your fairy flower token gets as well. And her draw 1, discard 1 is nice for the filter as well, but it is a cost, so keep in mind you discard 1 and then you draw 1 after that. Moving on, we have, of course, 4 draw perfect cards. These are very easy to get right now. You get 1 in the trial deck. If you bought 1 of each of the new trial decks, you get a second one, so you got 2 already, and then you can like either trade with your friends for your last 2, or you can pick them up on the secondary market for really cheap, like $2 for your last 2, or you can wait for the festival collection that's coming up in just 2 weeks at the start of August, which will have the reprints for these in triple rare foiling, which is also going to be very nice. So Maiden of Blossom Rain, very easy to get. This is our perfect card. We don't run the critical sentinel because this deck can easily not win on turn 3, and then you still gotta defend. So of course to defend, heal triggers, obviously required. Fairy Light Dragon here, 20k shield heal trigger. Very nice, nothing much to say about that. And then of course we're running not just 4, but we're running a whole 8 critical triggers, because we can put critical triggers on the Vanguard. So our opponent is like threatened to not even 2 to pass us, because if we put double crit to Vanguard, like it's no detriment to us because our fairy flower token will actually eat it. So that's very, very nice. So of course critical triggers are very legit, very good just for that reason alone, but I mean crits are always good. So finally, we have the starter Oz. She is the same starter as every other. When rolled upon, draw a card, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 1 already, then you put a quick shield into your hand, which is, you know, what you get in every trial deck. So yeah, that's basically the deck. That is the Ahsha deck, and what it looks like in standard. So Ahsha honestly came back very strong. And I mean, I think a lot of Ahsha fans are pretty happy. The deck is quite different from how it played in G, but it's still very, very strong. I know some people in the comments might be like, why are you not putting Tokoha in the main frame? And I mean, maybe I should have. We can kind of make it like here. But I mean, Ahsha's like, Tokoha's on this side of the playmat, so it's kind of hard to have her on that. But yeah, so this is the Ahsha deck. And as I said at the start, guys, make sure to check out the Twitch, drop a follow. We're trying to gather some followers up in here. And of course, as well, if you guys want to see the Chronojet deck list, let me know in the comments, and then I might just hook up my friend and we'll do it on a separate video. But yeah, on that note, I don't really have much else to add here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you would build this deck differently, and if you like the profile, and if you do try it out, let me know your results with it as well. And yeah, that's gonna be it for me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.